Hello everyone, I'm Hang, and today I want to share with you a very real, very painful story. One about family love and the difficult choices we face in life. Sometimes the things we hope for the most become burdens, and those we love the most can sometimes be the very ones who challenge us the hardest. My story isn't strange or extraordinary, it's a very common one. It's about protecting my own future, holding on to my dreams of education while facing pressure from my own family. I hope through this story you can find empathy or even learn how to overcome family conflicts when life gets tough. I also want to send a message to anyone feeling pressured by family, friends, or society. Always remember that you deserve a bright future and have every right to protect it. Never give up on your dreams or your own worth. Now let's dive into the story. Story 1. Winning the lottery and losing our love. When money shatters a marriage. Hi everyone, my name is Min. I'm 34 years old and this is my life story about how what seemed like a blessing turned into the beginning of irreparable cracks in my marriage. It all started when my wife Lynn and I won a decent sum from the lottery. Not the jackpot, but enough to pay off our mortgaged house and still have some left to travel and relax. Both of us worked hard raising 2 young kids. That house was our lifelong dream, and now it fully belonged to us. At first, I thought life would be easier, more time for family and kids. I hoped Lynn felt the same. But no, things began to take an unexpected turn. Lynn's change. The day after paying off the house, Lynn came home with a different look in her eyes. She told me she wanted to quit her job because it was time to enjoy life. I was shocked. I didn't think quitting was a good option even after paying the house off. Bills and kids' expenses remained. I tried talking her out of it, saying I'd keep working to maintain our lifestyle. But Lynn dismissed me, saying it was her money and her choice. Tensions flared when I suggested we manage the money together, make plans. She immediately refused, saying it's mine, and I decide. The arguments, I was disappointed and tried explaining that the money was shared, we both contributed and needed it for the family. But she wouldn't listen. Every time I mentioned work, she accused me of being greedy, unable to enjoy life, even called me a moocher. One day, Lynn told me she was really quitting and wanted me to cut back work hours to spend more time with the kids. When I said I couldn't, she yelled I didn't love her or the family enough. The breakdown, I felt I was losing the wife I loved. She changed, grew distant and cold. Arguments became frequent with harsh words exchanged. One night after a fierce fight, Lynn said if I didn't agree with her, she would leave. I was heartbroken, but stood firm. I knew things would only get worse if we continued like this. Eventually, she moved out, leaving me with an empty house and 2 small kids. I was devastated, but tried to keep things stable for the kids' sake. Reflection and lesson. Through this experience, I realized money can't buy happiness. It brings comfort, but can also fuel the deepest conflicts. I learned that respect, sharing, and understanding are the real foundation in marriage. Money is a tool, not the ultimate goal. Closing. I share this not to complain, but to hope anyone in a similar situation reflects on the true value of love and family. Money is finite, but love is priceless. If you face marriage troubles due to finances, communicate, understand, and walk together. Don't let numbers cloud your heart. Thanks for listening to my story. If you found it helpful, please subscribe and share so more can reflect. See you in the next stories on Reddit Echoes. Story 2. My wife boasted about wealth. Unaware our family was rich. A big shock and hidden conflicts. Hi, I'm Kwan, 32 years old, and this is the story of my marriage with Lynn. My wife, whom I once thought truly understood and valued family, but everything changed because of one truth. She didn't know my family was far wealthier than she imagined. Beginning. Marrying with many dreams. When I met Lynn, she was a capable, confident woman who knew how to take charge of her life. She worked in healthcare, a stable and well-paying job. Lynn loved to showcase her success and was proud of her achievements. As for me, I came from a fairly wealthy countryside family. My parents owned a large farm with vast land. We had a cozy wedding, inviting close friends and family. Lynn loved the countryside, setting peaceful green trees and fresh air. Lynn's first visit. A big surprise. The first time Lynn visited my hometown, she was a bit surprised by the space, the house, and the way of life here. I could sense the difference between the world she'd lived in and where I grew up. She often told me she thought my family was just normal, nothing special. She talked about rich city folks, luxury cars, expensive apartments. I tried explaining our family's large land holdings, steady income from agriculture and small business, but she still couldn't quite grasp the real value. Lynn's wealth bragging. Making me uncomfortable. Lynn liked to show off to friends and co-workers about her income and lifestyle. She bought expensive things, traveled abroad, and wanted everyone to know how successful she was. There was nothing wrong with this, but sometimes I felt she focused too much on appearances and forgot the true value of simplicity and family. Once I brought Lynn back to the countryside, she exclaimed, "Wow, your house is so simple." Not what I expected. I just smiled and said, "Simple." But the value isn't in the house. It's in family and what our parents built. The big incident, Lynn learns the real wealth of my family. One holiday, Lynn happened to meet a cousin of mine who told her about our family's true assets. She heard about the land major investments, the wealthy life my parents lead, things she never knew. Lynn became confused and upset with me for hiding it. She felt betrayed, like she'd been deceived all along. I tried to explain my parents never boasted, living modestly and valuing humility. I also wanted to keep Lynn comfortable without pressure from the family. Growing tensions. Since then, Lynn's attitude changed drastically. She grew insecure and sometimes more arrogant, trying to keep up with rich city folks. Whenever meeting friends, she bragged about her wealthy family and compared us to others. I felt the conflict between our modest family image and her ostentation grow wider. A fiery conversation. One evening, Lynn and I had an honest talk. "What do you think about how you treat my family?" I asked. She replied, "I just want people to know I'm not poor. I want to be proud of my life. My family doesn't need you to prove that I said. Family is for love and support, not comparison." We talked for hours with tears and mutual understanding. Conclusion and lesson learned. Through that tense time, Lynn and I learned to respect and understand each other better. She gradually realized that a person's worth isn't in wealth or showiness, but in how we treat one another. My story is for anyone facing similar situations. Don't let differences in background or assets break your relationship. Always keep humility and respect. That's what lasts. Thanks for following my story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe and share so we can spread valuable life lessons together. See you in the next Reddit Echoes video. Story 3. Refusing to let my brother borrow my house. A pressure-filled decision and unexpected consequences. Hi, I'm Hung, 34 years old. And this is the story about a tough decision I made. I refused to let my older brother and his family borrow my house when they were going through hard times. Since then, our sibling relationship became strained, and even the whole family got dragged into unnecessary conflicts. The beginning. My brother's family hits crisis. My brother Nam, 38, has a wife and 3 kids, a 12-year-old girl, a 10-year-old boy, and a 7-year-old girl. 2 years ago, they started facing serious financial troubles. Nam lost his stable job due to frequent lateness, hopping between several part-time gigs. His wife also worked part-time to take care of the kids. Despite the hardships, they kept their children in expensive private schools and enrolled them in many extracurricular activities without balancing their budget. The request to borrow my house. When their home was repossessed because they couldn't pay the mortgage, Nam called me asking if they could temporarily stay at my house for a few months to get back on their feet. I understood their situation and sympathized with their struggles, but I also had to consider my own life and work. Why I refused, I turned them down for several reasons. My house only has 3 bedrooms. One is my home office. Having his family there would greatly disrupt my space and work. I need quiet to work effectively, and 3 kids running around would break that environment. I worried a few months could stretch into years given their financial history and difficulty stabilizing. My parents had already offered their place, but Nam declined because he didn't want to live under my parents' rules. Alternative help and brother's reaction. I didn't want them homeless. I offered to pay for a hotel for 2 weeks and help with a deposit for a small apartment so they could rent their own place. But Nam reacted harshly, calling me selfish, irresponsible, and abandoning family in tough times. Family disputes. The conflict didn't stop there. Our parents and relatives got involved, dividing opinions. Some thought I was too rigid and should be more generous. Others agreed that personal life shouldn't be compromised for family. Tensions peak. Nam's wife started posting cryptic statuses on social media about knowing who your real family is when times are hard, which hurt and exhausted me. I also received numerous messages from relatives asking about the situation, adding to my mental stress. Personal reflections. I don't want to be the villain here. I do care about my brother, but I have my limits. I must protect my life and career. I feared letting them stay would not only affect me, but also reduce my work efficiency and harm my mental well-being. I hope people understand my tough choice, and maybe my story can help others facing similar situations make the right decisions. Conclusion. In the end, Nam and his family moved in with our parents, though it wasn't entirely comfortable. My relationship with my brother isn't as close as before, but I still believe refusing was the right decision for myself. Thanks for listening to my story. If you found it compelling, please subscribe to Reddit Echoes for more real, dramatic, and heartfelt stories. Story 4. The Baby Shower Dispute and the Troublemaking Sister-in-Law, an Unexpected Family Feud. Hi everyone, I'm Lynn, 47 years old, and this story is about a recent experience involving my daughter's baby shower and the uninvited interference of my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, that turned the event into chaotic turmoil beyond imagination. Background: celebrating new life after painful loss. My daughter is currently pregnant with her second child, a baby girl. Sadly, her first child, Philip, was stillborn at 38 weeks when he was just over 2 years old. This loss deeply wounded our entire family. When my daughter became pregnant again, we decided to hold a baby shower to celebrate new life and joy after so much pain. The lingering grief. After losing Philip, my daughter was heartbroken. She couldn't bear seeing the nursery intact or the baby items still there, so she asked us to pack everything away so she could welcome the new baby without constant reminders of the old pain. My husband and I did our best to support her, returning gifts to donors or asking if they could donate to those in need instead. Sister-in-law, Rachel, the troublemaker. While most family members supported and respected this decision, my sister-in-law Rachel did not. Rachel is loud and attention-seeking, about 4 years older than my husband, with a harsh personality and seemingly no empathy for my daughter's pain. She constantly yelled and pressured us, calling the nursery cleanup nonsense, insisting my daughter keep everything as it was, and declaring the baby shower unnecessary and ridiculous after our recent tragedy. Preparing the baby shower. The party was carefully organized with many relatives and close friends of my daughter attending. My husband, family members, and I tried to create a joyful, positive atmosphere to help my daughter forget the painful memories and gently embrace new life with happiness. The conflict erupts. As my daughter began opening gifts, Rachel loudly declared, "If you don't keep Philip's room, don't expect me at your baby shower." Her words paralyzed my daughter. She stood silently, tears streaming down her face. I couldn't stand it anymore and loudly demanded Rachel leave the party immediately. Reaction and fierce argument. Rachel refused to leave, continuing to argue wildly and uncontrollably. I had to remain calm, take the gift she had brought and throw it out the door. My husband stepped in, sided with me, and helped escort Rachel out. Family impact. The incident caused a major rift within the family. Some supported me, saying I was right to protect my daughter and keep a peaceful atmosphere for the party. Others sided with Rachel, claiming I was too harsh and lacked patience. Family meeting and decision. A few days later, my husband and I held a family meeting without inviting Rachel. We presented the situation, supported by testimony from several relatives. The family concluded Rachel was at fault and decided to limit her appearances at important family events. Anyone wishing to maintain relations with Rachel could do so individually without involving the wider family. Emotions and reflections. I feel very saddened by what happened. I cannot understand how close family could be so lacking in empathy. But I know I must protect my daughter and maintain peace in our small family. Conclusion. Rachel is no longer invited to large family gatherings. Although saddened by this division, I believe it is the right decision. My daughter's pregnancy is progressing well, and I want to focus on that. Thank you for following my story. If you find this story interesting or have had similar experiences, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to not miss more emotional Reddit stories on Reddit Echoes. Story 5. Refusing to let my parents use my tuition money when the future becomes a struggle within the family. Hi everyone, I'm Hang, a first-year university student, and I want to share a difficult emotional story about a conflict I've had with my own parents, the very people who raised me, yet now are asking for something that hurts me deeply: my tuition money. Tuition money, a safety net for the future. Since I was little, my grandparents and parents set aside money specifically for my university education. It was a savings fund they worked hard to build over many years, hoping I could focus on studying without financial worries and grow as a person. I am truly grateful for that, knowing not every family has such a privilege. Starting university excitement and pressure. This year, I officially began my first year of university. I was excited and eager to start this new chapter of life. But that joy quickly turned into stress from family tensions. Parents' financial struggles. Recently, my parents have faced serious financial difficulties. Their business suffered losses, debts piled up, and their expenses exceeded what they could handle. Arguments and complaints about money became frequent at home. The difficult request: use your tuition money. One day, my parents sat me down for a serious conversation. They asked me to use my tuition money to help pay off debts and cover essential family expenses. I was shocked and speechless, refusing for the sake of my future. After careful thought, I firmly refused. I told them this money is for my future, for my education and growth. If I give it up, I'm sacrificing my future, something I cannot accept. Parents' reaction. Their reaction hurt me more than anything. They were sad, disappointed, and even angry. They accused me of being selfish, ungrateful, and inconsiderate of the family. My father even cried, saying he had sacrificed so much for me, but now feels mistreated by his own daughter. Inner conflict. I understand my parents' difficulties, but I also know if I lose my tuition money, I lose my chance. I don't want to be a burden, but I can't destroy my own future either. Many nights I stayed awake, silently crying and wrestling with these feelings. Support from friends and counselors. During this turmoil, I was fortunate to have friends and teachers who listened and shared their support. I also sought help from a psychological counselor to relieve my emotions and find ways to communicate with my parents. Opening dialogue. After many attempts, my parents and I had a long, honest conversation. I shared my pressures and fears sincerely. They expressed their pain and hope for understanding. Though not all issues are resolved yet, at least we have opened our hearts to each other. Conclusion. I know the road ahead remains tough, but I believe that with understanding and empathy, there is a way to overcome together. I will strive to study hard, not to disappoint my parents, and to prove that I care, not just for myself. Thank you all for listening to my story. If you or someone you know has faced a similar situation, please share. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories on Reddit Echoes. Thank you all for joining me on today's story. I know this story may bring pain or confusion to many, especially as it touches on the emotional struggles within family, a bond we often think is unbreakable, but can sometimes cause the deepest wounds. If you're going through something similar or have faced conflicts with family over money, career, or important life decisions, I hope this story has offered you some comfort and strength to keep standing up for your dreams. Family is important, but never forget that you must also love and protect yourself first. Sometimes saying no to family isn't selfish. It's a way to preserve yourself and build a stronger future for everyone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Reddit Echoes and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any other heartfelt, genuine, and meaningful real-life stories. Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear your true stories. Wishing you all strength, peace, and the courage to find your own right path. See you in the next videos.